Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I have a query regarding mortgaging a house through Islamic banking in UK. There are some Islamic banks like Gatehouse Bank, etc., who help you with mortgage. They buy the property with you and you pay 20% deposit, and for rest of the years we give installments, which also includes a 6.45% rent that wouldn't count in the end. These banks claim that this is Sharia compliant and not interest based, as they are not lending money to the buyer. In fact, it's just the rent you pay for the money they have contributed. Kindly guide if this is really halal according to Islamic teachings. Before we give the reply to the question whether there is Islamic banking, is there Islamic mortgage, let us understand what is conventional mortgage. In conventional mortgage, if you want to buy a house, if it's costing suppose £100,000, so maybe the bank requests you to put 10% down payment or 20% down payment, and they borrow you 80 or 90% of the value of the house, and with that you buy the bank. So the bank is lending you money, and with the money of the bank you are buying the property, and the bank hypothecates, puts the property in their name. Now, as time goes on, the bank is charging you interest rate for the money it has lent. So maybe it has lent you £90,000. So they're charging you interest on that amount, whatever the percentage, whether 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%. After interest, they are also charging extra money, which in turn is paying part of the loan. And suppose you say that you want to pay the loan over 10 years. So they divide in such a way that they count the interest that's going to accumulate on the amount that is there. And plus you keep on paying part of the loan back to the bank. In such a way, it's called as EMI, easy monthly installment. They divide it. They calculate the total interest because the interest keeps on depreciating because you keep on paying part of the loan back. So they calculate the full amount and they calculate the loan given and they combine both, and then they divide it into 10 years in 120 installments which are equal. Now this is totally haram because it is riba based. The bank, the conventional bank is lending you money and they're charging interest on it, and you pay interest as well as part of the loan back, and it keeps on diminishing, but this is haram. The second system available in the conventional system is rent to buy or rent to own, in which the bank tells you to give 10% down payment. It's not 10% deposit, it's 10% down payment or 20% down payment, and they give the balance amount, whether 90% or 80%. And then they say that that 90% which they have given, it is taking rent on that amount, not interest. It is just play of words. And if you own 10% and they own 90%, so if the rent is, suppose per year, £10,000, so it is 90% goes to the bank, 10% goes to you. So you're paying rent, at the same time you're paying additional amount which is paying the principal of the part that they have paid. So instead of interest plus loan, you are paying rent plus the initial part payment of the property, so that your part of property keeps on increasing. Initially of 10%, then every few months it increases by another few percent. In the way, in the end, you own the complete property. Now this, in the conventional system of renting to own, is haram because you're having two contracts together. You are taking, you are also renting, and you're also paying part of, you're buying part of the property. So there are two contracts together. But in the conventional system, when you pay the rent, at the same time you are buying part of their property, yet the property is in the name of the bank. They are the owners, not you. So in Islam, when you sell something, the person you sell to, he should have ownership. So Islamically this is haram. You cannot rent and buy from the same person and yet the ownership remains with the person you're buying from. So even the conventional system of renting and owning is haram. But there is an Islamic system called as ijara, which is leasing, in which you follow the Islamic principles and you follow the Sharia principles. In this, what you're doing, that from an Islamic bank, the Islamic bank is buying maybe 90% or 80% of the property, you are paying down payment of 10% or 20%, and then you are paying 80%, 90% rent to the Islamic bank. At the same time, you are even paying extra amount as buying a percentage. There are very different types of ijara, we won't go into detail, but as long as the ijara is following the principle of the Sharia and there's no interest element involved, and when you keep on, every month you keep on buying, the percentage of your property, it increases every month. And the percentage what the bank owns keeps on decreasing to such a level that maybe after 5 years, after 10 years, after 15 years, depending how long you want to make the contract, where the rent will increase if the term is long, but the payment will be smaller. At the end, you own the property. Similarly, this type of ijara can also be for, buying cars, etc. There are different types of ijara, as I mentioned. There can be even ijara where you keep on renting till the life of the vehicle. In such a way, then after 5 years or 10 years, if the life is gone, you gift the vehicle to the person who has rented. There are different types of ijara. But if you are following the Islamic principles, as you said, this is the Islamic bank. I'm not aware of this bank. You see on the Sharia board that there are scholars who are reliable and authentic. If on the Sharia board there are scholars who are reliable and authentic, and if they are certified that this system is Islamic, or this system is as per the Quran and Hadith, then there's no problem. You can go ahead and you can take the loan as the ijara system I explained. But taking from a conventional bank, just interest from the bank, or rent to own from the conventional bank, it's haram. It's prohibited. From Islamic bank, which has a Sharia board and doesn't break any of the principle of the Sharia, this is permitted. Hope that answers the question.